Welcome back to Commercial Breaks with Miss Education. I'm Miss Education. Season 2, Episode 7, entitled Commandments 1 and 2 of 10. So, like I said on the last episode, that part of my journey is to just start off with the foundation, just the 10 commandments. Like, what is it saying? What what did I not see? What was I not taught? Or what was I taught intentionally? Whatever it was, but I want to get into it for myself and I want to understand for myself. And I'm going on this journey and I'm sharing it with you. So I hope that you too are blessed by it. If you got questions, if I'm wrong, please let me know because I am searching for truth. I don't know it all. And I am being super vulnerable with what I share because I just want a better, I want a deeper, I want a stronger relationship with my father. So I'm just gonna. So what I was doing again, like I said, is reading these commandments, trying to understand what it is. I want to live by these. I want to do it right because there are promises. God does not lie. God does not lie. And if we follow and do as He has commanded and has as He has asked of us, there are blessings and securities, and there's a sense of peace that comes with it. And look, with everything going on right now, I desire peace in my life. By the grace of Yah, I'm receiving peace. And I truly believe that that peace is because I am following, right? I am trying to be diligent and follow this. And peace doesn't mean that everything goes well in my life. No, absolutely not. Peace means that in my storm, that's the beauty of peace. When everything's great, I'm good. I'm like, okay, I don't need your peace. But when things are off, when things are upside down, and when there's stress and confusion, even in that storm, yo, God is like, I got you, Jen. Peace be still. And so I am choosing to get to know him and get to know what he says in his word so that I can live in his peace while while we are in this storm, right? So I'm just gonna read again. This episode is just commandments, and again, I entitled the commandments so that you, when you see the title, you know what it is. But it is the 10 words. They are the 10 words that we now call the commandments. And there's a difference, right? But words matter. When one says it's a commandment, you're like, yo, it's harsh. You have to do it. But God's like, yo, I'm just giving you my 10 words, right? So here we go. I'm going to read this part is just from Exodus 20. So, if one day you want to look this up, Exodus 20, verses 1 through 6, right? This is what this is going to be about. So it starts off with saying, just context, because I do know I have some who are not too familiar with the Bible, or what goes on in here. So this is after Moses has taken the people, with God's guidance, they've come out of Egypt. It's the Exodus. They've come out of Egypt, and now they're in the wilderness. And now God is presenting Himself and giving them the words, the 10 words, the 10 commandments. Like, this is what I need you to do. This is what I'm expecting from you. I need you to be different from the people that you were just hanging out with. I need you to be different. I need you to be set apart from everyone else around. And the only way to be set apart is you got to know what I need from you. So this is it, right? So that's the backstory of this. So it reads, I'm in the King James version. It says, "And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which has brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." And often we skip that part. It's super important. I like to make things make sense, right? If I was in prison or in a place of bondage and strife and confusion, and you come in and you deliver me in a situation where I didn't see a way out, and you deliver me in a miraculous way, you don't even need to ask me to follow you. I know I'm indebted to you, and not indebted to you because I'm indebted because I want to be. Yo, I'm so grateful for what you did. How can I say thank you, right? That's the mindset when God's like, let me just remind you. I say, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. You got to understand what Egypt was, right? And for me personally, I had my own Egypt. And God was like, yo, Jen, I brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And just because of that, You see me, I'm like, yo, thank you. What do I have to do to say thank you? And I'm a mom of 2, and whenever, if when the boys are like, "Mom, thanks. Mom, thank you." I'm like, "Yo, you don't even have to say thank you. Just follow directions. Follow the rules. Do what I ask. Behave." That means more to me than your thank you, and the same with God, who's a super parent. He's like, "I did this for you. I I'm just telling you, if you wanna say thank you, here's how you say thank you to me, right? Here are the words." So the word number 1, commandment number 1, thou shalt have no other gods before me, right? So I also have this book. One of my colleagues in my last job gave it to me, and I take notes on everything that I'm reading, or for the most part. And so I have this whole section, as you can see, it's the 10 words. I've taken notes on it. And so for this one, I'm like, yo, thou shalt have no other gods before me. I'm like, what does that mean? And he's like, look, I know that there are other entities out there, right? Because if you know the history of that time, there were other gods out there. Just like I told you with this prophetess who was prophesying on people's life and things were happening. That woman is filled with a spirit. It ain't the Holy Ghost though. There is a spirit in her. And when she says it happens because there are other entities out there that also do have some power. So God's like, look, I know there are other entities out there, but I need you and the people, the Israelites, to follow me. I need you not to go to those gods because those gods didn't save you. Just me, only one. And again, telling you, I've been really doing some stuff. The Egyptians and the individuals of that time, they had so many different gods, right? Even and I might just do this, but the 10, the 10, yeah, the 10 plagues, each plague that God placed and presented was against a god, an Egyptian god. It's so crazy. Each plague that God placed was a direct slap in the face to one of their Egyptian gods. God's like, don't play with me. I'm the real God. So, you have I mean, there are plenty of gods. There's the god of the I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on and I can't read my handwriting. Osiris, Nut, um, Seph I can't pronounce their names, Ra. Anyways, what I'm saying is there's a lot of gods, and God's like, yo, don't mess with those other gods. It's just me. I am all encompassing. While the Egyptians and the other people need 30 different gods, they have 2 gods for fertility, this and that. Like I'm one, all in one, just me, right? So thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's what I'm asking of you. Don't go prostitute yourself to anybody else because I'm the one that brought you out of Egypt. So serve me, love me, obey me, right? I'm like, yo, I can get down with that. That makes sense, right? I need it to make sense. So thou shalt have no other gods before me. Okay, I got it. Check. That's the first commandment. Easy enough. Then it goes to commandment number 2. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven, right? That is in heaven, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. Like, we are made in the image of God and we have many characteristics and emotions like God. We get jealous, right? Yo, let my husband, do something or my kids like somebody else more. I'm like, yo, I get jealous, right? If the student's like, I like her much better. There's a small part of me that's like, oh, I get jealous. God's like, I'm a jealous God. I'm a jealous God, right? Visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. That right there, I think is a whole other thing I should do. And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. So, commandment number 2, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images or any likeness of anything. I was like, okay, well, why are you saying that? Because God doesn't just say things just randomly. It has to make sense. God is a God of order. So, that time period and today, people were they were taking wood, stone, gold, iron, and carving out images of their gods and giving homage and praying to their gods. And God's like, yo, make this make sense. I'm like, yo, you're right. Make it make sense. How are you praying to something that you made yourself? Like you cut the wood, You carved out this statue out of wood and now you're praying to it? You made it and you're praying to it. Who has the authority? I am the one who carved it out. I have more authority over the image than it has over me. Like that doesn't make sense. But God's like, no, no graven images. And if you'll note, I mean, reading and researching, I noticed that the Israelites, there are no images. They don't have a lot of imagery from that time because they abided by this. No graven images. But if you go through the Egyptians, you can find plenty of artifacts, plenty of, you know, etchings in their walls or whatever they did of their deities. You won't find the Israelites did not commit this crime, this abomination, right? So growing up in church, I remember when I was younger, I'd go to people's houses and there's always this image of Jesus. And I'm like, it didn't make sense. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, that's what Jesus looks like. I mean, first of all, that's Da Vinci. I believe, and I'm gonna look, I believe that's Da Vinci's boyfriend anyway. But I'm like, oh, that's Jesus. Like, really? But God says, do not make a graven image. So all these things that we have, like, I'm gonna call it out because this is what this is now. The crosses that we wear, that's a graven image, right? Don't make anything that represents me a carved image. So we shouldn't have these things on our persons or in our house. What did I write? I said, so you've seen others make images, statues of their gods and worship them. I am not something fashioned by your hands, nor have you seen me. So how are you going to make an image of me and you've never seen me, right? Make nothing in my likeness. In the event you decide to worship your own creation. I'm like, this makes sense. Make nothing in your own in my likeness in the event that you decide to worship your own creation. I am a jealous El. The iniquities of the fathers will be felt upon the third and fourth generations of them that hate El. El is God, right? But show mercy unto those who love me and keep my commandments. I grew up, I know this verse by heart, but here's one thing that I just didn't quite understand. The part that says, um, again, this is verse 5, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. I was taught that the sins of the father, right? The sins of again, the father is the head of the household, right? But the sins of the adults would follow the children to third and fourth generation. And that's what I was taught. That's what's been imprinted in my head. But then when I read the Bible for myself, in Deuteronomy, God has a conversation and talking to Moses where he's like, no longer, right? The child will not be held guilty for the crimes of their parents because that makes sense, right? Why should I be held guilty for the crimes of my parents? But then I'm like, yo, God doesn't lie. So he says, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the third and fourth generation. What does that mean? So again, I may be wrong. I'm learning. So please, hit me up, let me know. But iniquities, what is an iniquity? An iniquity is a sin that involves a conscious choice to do something wrong, premeditated, continuous, and escalating. That is an iniquity. So you're telling me that if I, the parent, choose to do a sin that involves a conscious choice and it is premeditated, continuous, and escalating, that my children and the third and fourth generation, they will be affected by that? That's what you say in your word in the 10 words, but then later on you say the children won't be affected by the sins of the parents. So I question, make it make sense, God. Make it make sense, because you are not a God of confusion. And it makes sense, right? Check this out. Again, I'm looking at my book. I write all over it, right? And I don't have my glasses. But it says, visiting the third generation. Okay, kids are not punished for the sins of their parents. In Deuteronomy 24:16, kids will not be punished for the sins of the parent. However, they will feel the impact of the sins of the parents. And also, right? So if I'm an alcoholic, and that is a sin, right? My kids will feel the impact of this, my addiction to alcohol, right? Whether I'm an angry alcoholic or whatever, they will feel and they will receive that abuse, right? But why does God say so? You hear you telling me third and fourth generation, but then you're Deuteronomy 24, you tell me they won't have to deal with my sins. But here's what God does, because God is an awesome God, right? What this means is, okay, um, but however, raising children in this iniquity, and in my example as an alcoholic, results in the children repeating the same foolishness. You tend to repeat what you know. So if I'm this alcoholic, I'm raising my children, they have a higher probability of growing up and them themselves becoming an alcoholic or marrying an alcoholic, right? So, and it was something that passes on. So when they have children, their children are also going to be raised in an alcoholic, abusive home, and they either themselves will be alcoholics or marry alcoholics. It's a generational curse to the third and fourth generation. I'm like, yo, God, you don't lie. You make sense. We don't make sense, and we try to understand and make it more than what it is. But you just lay it out. Like I'm telling you what this is. I was just when I read this and I understood it, I was like, "Yo, thank you." Right? I am not following these commandments out of fear, and fear meaning I'm afraid of you or because I feel like I have to. I want to follow these words, these 10 commandments, because when they make sense, and I told you I'm in part of my life where it needs to make sense. When they make sense and you're doing it out of love, it makes sense when you look at this through the lens of a loving father. He loves me so much. He's like, "Yo, you don't need anybody else but me. I am your one-stop shop, right? You don't need to go shopping around for different guys. I got it all. Just come to me." Right? I'm like Burlington Coat Factory. I got everything. You know what I mean? You don't need others. That's love. Because it's confusing. Which God do I pray to now? Which God do I go to if I need this or if I need that? No, God's like, it's just me. So that shall have no other gods before me. Because I got you, Jen. Two, don't make any graven images of me because one, you might be tempted to worship the works of your hand. We're not about that. I'm not going to put you in a place of temptation where you're going to want to worship the works of your own hand. And one, two, you don't know what I look like. So what are you doing? You can't do it. And the iniquities, yes. The sins, I'm telling you. And I'm not saying that I'm cursing you, but I am telling you that your sins, your iniquities will follow to the third and fourth generations. I'm warning you. So be careful. And that not that your kids have to pay the sins that pay for the sins that you committed, but understand that when they're raised and they see these sins, when you allow the devil, the spirit, to come into your house, he will find a way to infiltrate, and it will continue from generation to generation. So break these iniquities for the sake of your children. For one, you love me, but also you, meaning you love me. God is saying, you love me, Jen. So break it. You love me. For me, break it. Right? For God, break it. But also break it, Jen, because you love your children and you do not want your children and your grandchildren to continue living in this and battling this iniquity. In the name of Yah, break it. Because I am an amazing El and I love you. So that was, that's the beginning of my journey into the 10 words, the 10 commandments, and how this makes sense. And there are those who are like, no, it's an old covenant. We don't follow the old covenant. I'm like, yo, God doesn't change. He didn't just put it in there and say, you know what, follow it until Messiah shows up. When my son shows up, then get rid of it. No, that's not what he said. When he says stays, we are not allowed to change anything in the guidebook in this Bible. So I choose to follow. I am trying. I'm not perfect. I am not perfect. I stumble every day, but I ask for forgiveness. I learn, and my goal is to get up and not do it again. So I know this episode was a little longer, but yo, these commandments, this word is amazing, and I have no shame for it. I will definitely speak on it. So next time I will try to hit. The goal is to hit commandments 3, 4, or the word 3 and 4. Thanks again. God bless. Y'all bless. Till next time, commercial breaks with Miss Education. Bye.